I'd like to introduce my first guest, Mr. Attorney Jeffrey Collins. Attorney! I mean, you know the law. You've been in so many phases of the law.
Well, it's just a pleasure to be here. I'm glad to be here. Like you said, it's a nice bright morning
I
out of
know.
that bitter cold.
I know. And I didn't have to climb a mound to get in today. I mean, the snow had just piled up on the sidewalks and everything.
It's amazing now where 40 degrees seems like a heat wave.
Well, I'm telling you, don't get comfortable.
Yeah, you March, you never know. It could come back like a lion.
Not only March, it's Michigan.
And
You know, they say that nothing beats a Michigan winter, but nothing beats you like a Michigan winter either. Attorney Collins, or Jeffrey, let me call
Jeff
you
is fine.
Jeff.
Jeff.
Okay. Remember that term, you Jeffing me or something? There was a term, something like that. But anyway, Attorney Collins has a book out, Do the Right Thing, make ethics your brand. And first and foremost, let's give the audience a little of your background.
Sure.
You grew up here?
Yeah, born and raised in Detroit. I went off to college at Northwestern University, and I grew up playing a lot of tennis, particularly at Palmer Park, and I was blessed to go to college on a tennis scholarship. And then from Northwestern, I went to Howard University for law school. And then after I graduated from Howard, I came back to Detroit, and the person who hired me out of law school was someone who I was from a relationship from playing tennis as a youngster, a
Oh,
man by the name of Ed Bell.
really?
Ed Bell hired me,
Oh,
and I tell you, it was one of the few jobs I've had where I felt I should have been paying him instead of him paying me.
I know. Isn't it great when you have a job and you say, God, I can't believe I get paid for this?
And he gave me cases of responsibility right from day one.
Well, that taught you. That's the best way. Application is the best form of teaching,
That's,
don't you think?
I agree. It wasn't just sitting in the library, researching. He put me in the courtroom right from day one, trying cases.
How did you feel on that first day?
You know, I was a little apprehensive, but he said, you know what? Just don't let the client know. Uh, he said, listen, one thing you want to do being a good is preparation. And he said, if you're going to lose a case, Jeff, don't lose it in the office. And by that he meant,
I know.
okay,
Go on, tell the audience. By that he meant,
by that he meant have the confidence to take the case to court. If you decline the case right in the office or don't take the case, it's automatic loss. So have the confidence and the courage to take it in court and see what happens. And that's a philosophy which has kind of been my trademark throughout my career. To go for it, to go for trying to be a judge, to go to try to
because
be a United States
you were a
attorney.
judge at one time, weren't you?
I was a judge for about 7 years.
Where?
I was, remember Detroit Recorder's Court?
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
The criminal court for the city of Detroit.
Yes.
I served there for about 5 years, hearing, murder cases, robbery cases, and then from there,
Does that wear on you?
um, it is important to keep a sense of balance when you're on the bench, particularly when you're hearing criminal cases day in and day out, and not to get jaded, because every case is a case of first impression for that person who has that case before you. What happened in the previous cases, you have to set that aside and give everyone a fair and honest shot, just as you would want if you were sitting there or a family member was sitting there with a case. So it
Well,
can,
it seems like it takes a certain type of person, a certain type of emotional base to be able to, some people buy into cases, become a code. I don't know how I'm explaining this, but
hmm
I know I couldn't be a judge because I feel.
well,
I,
to be honest with you, I would say I think that's a positive that you feel, that you have compassion, and you're not just sitting up there as a robot or as a machine, but you're able to individualize.
right, that's true.
And I mean, you have a
I
great
see
history
what you're
as a
saying.
legendary teacher.
Oh,
I mean, and sometimes as a teacher, you have to what impose discipline,
yeah, and sometimes on people you like.
people you like, but it could be tough
You
love.
know, the funny thing, I was in a restaurant once, and this former student walked in. She said, Miss Perryman, how are you? We hugged.
Yeah.
She said, you failed me, but it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
It's amazing with your story because I've had people who have stopped me on the street, and they're like, well, what's this about? And it's like, you sentenced me, and I'm like, oh my, what is this really about, man? And they say, thank you. I've had people say, thank you. I needed that at that time in my life. Believe it or not, to have to go to prison. And now I'm out. And thank you for doing that for
And
me.
they were on the right track.
There you go.
Now, with your book,
I'm the right track. I'm doing the right thing.
yeah, doing the right
Good
thing.
transition.
But you know, I noticed you use a lot of baseball analogies, and that was interesting. You have a big interest in baseball.
I love baseball. I've coached Little League Baseball for years. And I thought that the lessons learned just coaching a Little League Baseball team can be transferred for life lessons.
Metaphors all the way. I mean, really.
Like you mentioned, like take your glove. Like a
Yeah,
lot of times people will go to a game, you go or a professional game. A lot of young kids will have a glove with them,
right.
and not because they're playing, but they hope that someone will hit them
He hit a foul
a foul
ball
ball.
or a home run.
And so, but what's the odds of a ball coming to you at Comerica Park if you take your glove? Some might say, man, there's 50,000 people there. It's a 1 in 50,000 that the ball will come your way. But nonetheless, people take the glove because there's optimism. There's a sense of hope that a foul ball will come your way. And I try to approach a new job, a new challenge by taking my glove with me to that job. When I became United States Attorney, it was right after the tragic events of 9/11. And that hit our district with our demographics a lot different with a high Middle Eastern population, a lot tougher than other parts of the country.
Right, because we have such a vast population.
That's correct. And so I approached it with an idea of working with the Middle Eastern community, not against, uh, and being able to build bridges of trust, of community policing, and try to use the community as an ally to fight crime. And I would like to think we had good success.
Yeah, and a lot of people, think that a lot of Arabs, Americans, and so forth thought that because of 9/11, they wouldn't get a fair shake.
And a lot were so concerned about profiling, about people painting with a broad brush, and not being able to look at everyone like we just talked about earlier, individualized.
Right, right. We have a call. Greg is on the line. Good morning, Greg.
Good morning. How are you?
Just fine, thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to jog the attorney's memory if I could. There was a case when you were practicing law downtown many years ago where there's a young man that came visiting in Detroit from Mississippi. It was his first time in Detroit, and he was here about a week, and he was accused of rape. And you took the case, and on the day of the trial, the victim didn't show up, and the charges were dropped. And I was wondering, since you didn't have to do anything, there's a possibility that you could have returned the $5,000?
Okay. All right.
Oh, you're kidding. Oh, well.
All right. I'll be more than happy to answer your question, but I don't. The case doesn't come to mind that you
Yeah,
mentioned.
there was a young man about 17 years old.
All right. But if it was dropped the day of trial, I would
Yeah.
I'd be willing to say that there was a lot of work put in preparing for trial.
That's what I was going to say. Preparation. Preparation.
Well, actually, it was the preliminary. We didn't even need to get to go to trial. It was preliminary. I guess we jumped the gun and getting an attorney because we were so devastated by the charges. He was just visiting here for his first time out of Mississippi. He's a football player coming here to go to school.
All right. Well, like I said, I wish I could remember the facts, but I wish him and your family the very best.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, a lot of times people don't realize before you get to the game, and that even is with a teacher, you have to prepare, and the
Right.
time that it takes you to prepare.
The hours spent, days spent, trying to determine what questions to ask, what questions not to ask, um, interviewing witnesses, putting arguments together, opening statements, closing arguments. This all takes a lot of time. Um, and there may be spent, you may be in court 4 hours a day, but you have put in 24 hours
Tell me about it. Yeah, I know.
preparing for those four.
Yes, yes, you
Just
have.
like a teacher has lesson plans before they walk into a classroom. So a lot of times people don't see that work behind the scenes.
Right, right, absolutely. So we were talking about bring your glove to the game,
Right, yeah.
just in case. Always be ready.
Always be ready.
That's what I got from that.
Always be ready. I mean, where good things happen very often is where preparation and opportunity kind of
Meet.
intersect. So if you have your glove with you, then you are prepared. And for young people, I tell them that preparation can mean not just, showing up, the day of the test, but you would have done your work studying prior to the test to prepare for that. And when an opportunity comes, have the courage, like Ed Bell told me, to go for it. Because a lot of people have the talent, but they may need a little encouragement, a little pushing. And I think that's where, family, the community, mentoring, all of that can help build that self-esteem and self-confidence so people can shoot for the stars.
Now, your father had a lot to do with how you became,
No question.
because he said, look them in the eye. When people, well, that's very important because I remember my dad, he came from the South.
Right.
He looked, when he talked to some people, he looked down.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a malady of a lot of black men.
Right. Um, it sounds simple, but it was such a good life lesson for me as well. When he said, when you meet someone, look them in the eye, give them a firm handshake. And,
And that takes some people off guard too.
it can. It can.
It can.
Because, you're trying to exude, confidence and dependability, the handshake, reliability. You can trust me. So there's a lot in that little, what seems like a simple message. But he also not only talked the talk, he walked the walk. And that made a huge difference as well, because I could see him. He will, if you needed to go anywhere, he will always be there on time. He's always very punctual.
A stickler for time.
Stickler for
And
time.
that made you a stickler for time.
It's amazing how the
And
fruit didn't fall far from the tree.
Right, but then you taught your children. And I always say, when you raise your children, you're raising your grandchildren. Because what you teach them,
Wow, that's right.
That's true. though.
That can become your legacy.
Right, right.
And what a good legacy to leave.
Well, we have Mr. Welch on the line. Richard, good morning.
Good morning.
How are
Yeah,
you?
Jeffrey,
Pardon?
I'm doing fantastic. Jeffrey, this is Richard Welch
Good morning.
on the line.
Silver Fox Furs.
Oh, okay. How are you today?
Oh, pretty good. Jeffrey,
Good.
you mentioned one of my mentors also, Judge Ed Bell.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Ed, I'm from Grand Rapids. Ed from Muskegon.
That's right.
Ed, Lester, and Sam, and to be honest, I remember when you were there. But I just think it's good that you would mention Ed. Ed is a part of Detroit legal history that people should know about.
I appreciate that. And
And I'll tell you something, and you have followed you all the way through your career. Very proud of you.
Another piece of advice I remember Ed Bell used to give me was also, my dad was like handshake, firm, look him in the eye.
Well,
Ed
anyway,
Bell
I'll
was like,
tell you, Jeffrey, I'm going to go now.
I'm sorry.
I thought I'd mention it. I don't miss the Brenda Perryman show, but when I seen you on, I got excited, and then you mentioned my mentor.
Oh, thank you,
Hey,
sir.
Jeffrey, God bless you, and you have a great day.
Richard,
Bless you as well.
Ricky, he's getting ready to tell you another thing Ed Bell would say.
One thing Ed Bell would say is, Jeff, when you have, make sure your shoes are always shine and you have a nice watch.
And I'm asking, didn't he wear? I mean, Ed had a monogram cuff and cufflinks second to none.
Second to none. I mean, he looked like $1 million.
Right, right. Well, thanks for calling in, Ricky.
Thank you. Talk to you later.
God
Bye-bye.
bless
You
you.
will. Bye bye. Yeah, I mean, Lester Hudson.
Oh,
Lester is a friend of mine.
what a talented, brilliant person.
Right, right.
I mean, when I started working at Bell and Hudson, it was a year after that tragic incident.
Yes, yeah.
Where there was a shooting there.
Yeah.
And Lester Hudson
Had to jump out the window.
and was
Yes.
injured. And I didn't know him before the injury, just afterwards. But afterwards, I mean, he would come in my office and just share stories, and I could see how he would be just a terrific trial lawyer. What a natural litigator. And he's been a good, positive influence on my life as well.
Right. His brother and his sister-in-law and I started in grade school together, so I know the Hudsons.
Okay.
I know the Hudsons from Southwest Detroit, you know. But what enticed you to write the book and name it?
Well, I've had a...
Wait.
Sure.
Before you answer that, tell the audience what ethics are.
Ethics is doing the right thing for the right reason, time and time again. That's how I define ethics. I don't pretend to be an expert, but to do the right thing for the right reason, that means you have the right motive. Do it for the right purpose, and you just don't do it, on Monday and Tuesday, or now and when it's convenient, but you do it time and time again. Because sometimes people say ethics is situational. Like in this situation, I'll do X. Another situation.
Yeah.
I'm like, is there anything such thing as being a little bit pregnant? I mean, either you're pregnant or you're not.
Right.
To me,
Right.
either you're ethical or you're not. So I don't buy into this situational ethics argument. Is that this is something which has to be a lifestyle, which cuts across your personal life, your professional life, your community life, and this is just the brand.
That's your label.
That's your label.
That's your label, because if people know you're ethical, then they can trust you. And trust is so important, right?
That is huge. That is the backbone. I mean, without a foundation of trust, then relationships, they crumble. So, and you can do 99 good things and do one unethical act, and guess what people are going to remember? That one ethical misstep. So I think it's huge. I think it's important for people to have a great work ethic and to work hard, to be visionaries and great thinkers, but to make ethics your brand.
Has anybody ever tried to get you to compromise your ethics?
Without question. It has happened. And you are put in a position where if you're blessed to be in a position of influence or power, then yes, the situation can come up where you have to make a decision. And it could be a dilemma. Which way do I go? And you weigh it and try to make the right decision. And so far, knock on wood, I feel comfortable.
Because I tell people in the end, all they have is their name.
Oh.
Do you believe that too?
I believe that 110%. I went to a funeral, this was a long time ago, of a gentleman who used to serve on the Michigan Supreme Court. His name was James Brickley. And I never even met, didn't even know him. But I just went. I was on the court, and kind of out of respect, I went. And I remember his son spoke at the funeral, and his son said that my dad did not die a rich man, and dedicating his life to public service didn't make him rich. But he said my dad left me something better than money. He left me a good name. A good name.
Right.
And that just stuck with me. How leaving as your legacy a good name, where there won't be scandal next to
I know.
to your name. That means something for you, for your grandchildren, for that legacy.
Sometimes you have to back out of doing things because it isn't within your ideals, your belief system, and so forth.
That's right.
You just can't do it.
And that's your personal code. What is your personal
And
code?
sometimes money is involved in it,
And you're right.
People say, why didn't you do that? Because I don't think that that's the right thing.
Can you look yourself in the mirror?
No.
And everyone has their own personal code. But being able to say no takes ethical strength. Be able to step away. And I encourage folks in work environments, if you see something that's not right, don't be a spectator. That in work environments, sometimes people may have to leave, and report unethical conduct if they see it going on.
I know. I know very well because sometimes, though, it's very convenient. You come into a situation, you're new to a situation, like I was teaching my first year in Southfield.
Right.
And the department chair this was when I took over the drama department.
Mm-hmm.
They were just doing things or not doing things. And then at one point, someone broke my props. It was just all these odds. And I called my mother and said, what are they doing? What are they doing? She said, don't let them see you sweat.
Oh.
So what I did one day, I took the two gentlemen into the copy machine room. And I said, look, you put on your pants and I put on my panties one leg at a time. And you are not going to, next thing I'm going up higher and higher and higher.
There you go.
If you don't believe me, check me out.
Mm.
They didn't believe me.
Mm.
Next thing you know, they quit.
Wow.
And they had been there a long time.
Wow.
Yeah. But they,
I commend you because doing the right thing isn't always doing the easy thing.
Well, it had to be about the students. It can't be about you wanting to go home early, a half a day all the time. At one point, the principal had to call him in the middle of the day, found him at home instead of in school where he's supposed to be. I'm just saying that, but you got to set the standard. The kids they have to know. And the same thing with you being a lawyer. Well, of course, there's a lot of education. I think all this is metaphorical, though, because a person comes to you, they have to know you're prepared. They have to be on time. If you're coming in for this deposition, you got to be on time.
That's right. And that's all part of your brand. That you treat people the way you want to be treated, honestly,
Absolutely.
ethically, and you are prepared with the work ethic, the punctuality. All of that goes into the pot. It's like some gumbo, a big pot of trying to make you an ethical
This book
person.
is really interesting. Tell us, we go back to that question. Why did you write it?
Well, I felt that I had a story to tell, and I just didn't want to keep it to
The
myself.
stories are connected to lessons, too.
Life
There's
lessons.
life lessons. You don't have to be in the law. It's just a way to live.
And that's what I've been really happy about, is that people who, from all walks of life, have told me they've gotten something positive out of the book. It's not geared, in all due respect, it's not geared for lawyers.
I went to grade school and high school with Gershwin.
Oh, he's in the book.
Yeah. Gershwin Drain, Judge Drain.
Oh, what a prince of a person.
Yes, good person. Good person.
He has a prison ministry. I don't know if you remember.
Yes.
He invited me the one time to go to speak at a church. I thought he started talking about his own church. He's like, no, meet me at Mound Correctional Facility, where he on his own conducted a church service at a church. I mean, at a prison. I mean, we were praying with people. I was on the bench at the time with Frank Murphy. We were praying with people we had sentenced. And there were prisoners were saying, our families members don't even come to visit us. And so here's Judge Drain. He has no dog in the fight other than trying to help people. You talk about having feeling as compassion. That's a great thing to have as I think as a judge. And for him to be there and to conduct that service, I thought showed a whole lot about his character.
Because someone learned something. You know, you have this practice tip, and I just want to talk about it real quick. You can be a shepherd. First, tell my audience what the shepherd does.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
know what it, but tell them.
The backstory is when I'm running all the time. I had one time I ran by a house. There was a shepherd sitting on the porch and came and chased me down the block. And I compared that shepherd to a stray because I have seen, in all my years of running, I've seen strays. But I've never been chased by a stray. Only by this shepherd who came off of this porch. And I compare what's the difference between a shepherd and a stray. A shepherd is there territorial. A shepherd has a stake in the outcome. And what I'm saying is that we as a community need to be shepherds and not strays. Because a shepherd will chase you away. It cares about where they are. Whereas a stray, you know, is just kind of living day to day.
Right, right. Well, one of the, you say you could become a shepherd by identifying and publicly recognizing the talents of the people around you. And that's real important.
I think share success.
Yes.
You know, share
Well,
success.
nobody got up on that fence and stayed by themselves, you know, alone, you know. And embracing the power of encouragement. Isn't that worth a million?
It's huge. I mean, just being able to give someone a compliment and to acknowledge people. And I know it's sometimes like in court, sometimes people can come in and be nice, the nicest they can be with the judge. You know, nicey nice. But what about the judge's clerk and the court reporter and the court officer? That, you know, you should be encouraging it shouldn't be selective. That's across the board. That civility, level of civility, and recognizing people want to be affirmed. They want to be validated. And I think if you're able to give that and give it unselfishly, it'll come back to you.
I was once told by a former assistant principal, he said, now, Brenda, teaching is a thankless job. And I didn't know what he meant, so I never thought to be thanked or anything.
Right.
And then you find out, you see your students grow and everything, and the appreciation for over the years, the many, many years. I love this book. I love it. Where can we get it?
You can get it Amazon. Amazon.com is one vehicle in which you can order the book. Also on our website, makeethicsyourbrand.com is another way you can get the book. Or you can even call my office.
What's that
I got a
number?
room full of them.
What's that number?
313-963-2303.
You know, this has been wonderful. Well, you said you'll come back from time to time.
You asked me, and I'll love to come back.
Oh, no problem. Well, make sure I get in touch with you through Sharon.
Great.
And we'll make that happen.
God bless.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be back in just a minute with Antoine Jackson.